It is the Matt and oh, no, it's not. It's Unfiltered. Oh, mate, we need to get this sorted. It is the with
How
Unfiltered
about
with
how
Matt
about
and
how
Nigel.
how about we write it down like the old days and go, "Welcome to
Must have
Unfiltered with
AI
Matt and
for that.
Nige."
Unfiltered with Matt and Nigel. So I've come out to New York to see Nigel. Nigel, you were in Basingstoke.
Yeah, I think we're quite far apart, my friend. I can see an aeroplane which you might have been on earlier, but who knows? And
Yeah, I
look,
flew
we
yesterday, so probably not.
we have a common theme here. Actually, hang on. That whole airport thing. I follow airport. I'm going to sound like a train spotter now. I follow aircraft around the world because you can see where the tail goes all over the place. It is phenomenal how active those things are. And if you follow their journey, like your plane's just landed from South Africa and you're off to New York, and they go from New York to like it's crazy the amount of hours those things do. If you ever look at them,
But I love eating a geek. It's just
I'm
great, isn't it?
so
What we all get off on, right? It's just
it,
brilliant.
okay, I'm gonna admit this as well. I took a picture of my loft because I boarded it and shelved it, and I sent it to a friend of mine. It's like
That's quite
I said,
cool.
I was like middle-aged dad mode. I was like, this is so nerdy. I'm really happy it's all done. It's like that's not nerdy. You need a train set. I said to my wife, like, we need a Hornby. She's like, we've got a Hornby. Maybe you go there.
Yeah, totally. But that's what retirement looks like, right? You playing in the loft with your Hornby.
And
You were telling you we read this thing about the most important bit of a podcast is within the first minute or two conveying like the
we're
sentiment or the
dying
like
with laughter. It's
uh,
unbelievable. And look, I just imagine like this is how old I am. I'm just imagining the yellow pages there, Fly
yeah,
Fishing
yeah.
by J.I. Hartley. That's us. That is us.
It totally is, totally. All right, come on, let's talk. Let's talk. So, what are you doing? Why aren't you in New York? That's the first question I have for you. I guess you don't live here anymore, do you?
Well,
So,
I don't live here anymore. I'm out there quite a
no.
bit, but I have missed InsurTech Insights London, and I'm missing InsurTech Insights New York. So I'm doing a really bad job. I am spending all my time with clients though, so I'm actually very
Yeah,
happy
that's
about
okay.
that.
Good. Yeah, well
So
done.
yeah,
It needs to be done.
it
Pay the
really does.
bills.
And actually, I was thinking that all the feedback about ITI from London over the last week has been really positive and upbeat. Like everyone said a really good event. It's like 6,000 people there, the right things on stage. We've moved on from the hype to action. And actually, I was thinking about it over the weekend going, it's okay to take a few years off or a year off or two to go unwind, unplug from it all, and then go back into it to see what's
Mm.
changed. Otherwise, well, how do you get these fresh ideas? So I'm just trying other things at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think some truth to that. I think it's quite nice stepping back,
Yeah.
reflecting. And you know what? Even as something we haven't talked about is the use of pen and paper, proper old school. It's the Quantexa guys. Let me see if I got it here. The Quantexa guys.
What
Oh,
did
it makes for
Alex
a
and
good video.
what did Alex
Go
and
on.
Johnson and team give you then? Come on, have they given you a nice notepad?
Yeah, and it is all it is just a little tiny notepad. I just been. I don't know. I talked about my brain at the moment is I feel like almost forgotten the name of it, ironically, limitless. You know that when you take the pill and you're just so sharp. And
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know whether it's exercise, whether it's because business is in a good place, I'm taking creatine. What is it? There's for whatever reason, I feel like absolutely awake and alert and alive. And as a result, this comes with me everywhere. And I'm now just writing notes on 1,000 things and snapping it and then putting it into AI and then actually making stuff happen with it. I love it. It's just like I'm more productive than ever.
I have to agree, but I also think there's a value in maybe I'm old fashioned or whatever else, but there's a value in writing something down. Someone said to me this morning about when you said it, I got some lovely feedback on it again, which I love. Um, but they're like, do you use AI to write it? I'm like, not one bit. Like I write that thing each week. It goes out on a Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Monday morning, Monday evening. And it just depends on the mood. And I'm trying to work out the data, whatever else, which I'm struggling
Yeah,
with.
yeah,
But I write it myself because that's where I get my thinking done through the writing, not
yeah,
through
man. I'm
the,
sure we touched on that, haven't we? With
yeah.
that, but I think it's lovely. Anyway, but yeah, come back to the events. Definitely taking some time out away from these things, but I've also been leaning into those harder than ever. So like, I think also business changes, right? So like, it's meeting people there, and then like I put a post out ages ago on LinkedIn around having the coffee shop conversations, and it's that human connection and how we meet the people at these places for the first time. Like so, this morning I met one of Sean Ringstead's team from Chubbs, Camilla, who I think you know,
I know,
and I met her for a coffee for the first time. Even though our worlds are like has been like this,
does
right?
she
We've
now
never
live
met
in
before.
London?
But that would be ironic. No, I think she doesn't. She lives really close to where we met, which is in Manhattan.
I'm going to bet you
Um,
$1 million she lives in London.
no, she doesn't. She was talking about life with family and stuff. Anyway, so we just met up in a hotel that is close to hers,
One
a little
million.
coffee shop. $1 million. That's a great movie. Which I'm sure if you look back on it, probably full of inappropriate stuff that shouldn't be allowed.
Completely. Now, equally important, I'm wearing silly headphones. Yours are running out of charge because we have this
Yeah, we should.
headphone
Yeah,
theory. Well, we should I genuinely think this is true. You said, do I ever lose headphones, i.e. my AirPods? I think I've got AirPods in every room, in every bag, and I've got a set of different ones all the time. Changing when the charging thing went from Lightning to USB-C. Yeah. But I genuinely have two pairs on me at all times because they're either running out. I've nicked my son's headphones, which look ridiculous when I'm not on a
I
plane.
literally thought these are from Disneyland. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Actually, I can be sad. I watched a review the other day of a Garmin watch where the guy went, "Look at my Reese's headphones I got for $5." I'm like, Reese's made headphones for $5? What on earth is going on? Anyway,
Reese's in the chocolate bar.
Reese's in the chocolate bar make headphones you can
Wow.
get for $5. But
Okay.
my point in all this is, you and I, along with the rest of the planet, have lost enough AirPods.
Mhm.
I think AirPods should be a utility under insurance. And you basically, like your Apple subscription, you pay X amount of money a month. And then when they break or that you lose them or you need a new pair, you get up to 2 or 3 pairs a year. It's
There's
AirPods
got to be
as
somebody
utility.
doing it. Is this going to be our new business?
I think we could do it.
Brilliant.
I think we could do
We
it.
could do it. Albeit with us as customers, we're probably going to lose a lot of money straight away. Yeah, I think these are now number 8, pair number 8 or something. It's just like, come on, how can it's just, yeah, I don't have them in every room. I literally just lose them everywhere.
Yeah,
So
my
I
wife's on
need
the
to be a bit better at
original.
that.
My wife's got the original, very, very original pair that must be 100 years old. How are you
Some
still using
lessons to
those?
be learned from these girls, mate. So what is going on in your world? What have you been thinking about? What have you been seeing? Come on, tell me something exciting.
Like you, and before we were jumped into this, it was almost the overwhelming nature of AI, but also the divine realization. I was driving down to Basingstoke this morning. It's the divine realization that whilst AI is accelerating at a massive pace, the pace of adoption and the pace of change hasn't kept up with them. So actually, this widening gap's getting broader and broader and broader. And I'm seeing execs and boards go, AI is the answer. What's the question? But that pace of adoption hasn't changed. So actually, we're just getting the expectation gap's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm starting to worry about whilst the exec and the board is thinking about, well, why haven't we done that? Why haven't we replaced your 20 or 30 or 40 legacy systems like that with AI? Because we all say it can be done. The 10, 20, 30,000 people aren't picking it up yet because we haven't got the change management in order. We haven't got the business change in space or whatever else it might be. So I really worry about actually how those two things are mixed up. So
I
that's
think that's
my,
also true. That's true outside of big business as well, right? It's the same for us as individual users or solopreneurs or small companies, SMEs, the rest, where the tools are out there. So seemingly are the case studies for how we can make use of this, and it's going to revolutionize our world. But there's still limits to that, right? Those technologies every week, every month, they are progressing, and it's almost the need for us as individuals to keep coming back to these platforms to try them out, to test new features or functionalities that they have. Excuse me, and to see whether they are key, how they are developing for aligning, and those developments aligning to our needs. Because at the moment, I'm really struggling to see where they fit into my life, right? So I've really been going forward with this with run a relatively small business. We have lots of work to do, way more than my team can cope. So therefore, surely AI agents are the answer, right? We must have like a marketing team that we can put to use in terms of kind of a bunch of agents that we create, or a bunch of sales team that we can, sales agents that we can put forward. And I'm sure they're there. Maybe we haven't invested enough time to get the payback yet, or maybe the technology is not quite there for us to be confident in it. Because at the moment, like I don't want a AI to handle my emails, right? I just don't. I'm not ready for that to happen. Equally,
is that a
yeah,
generation thing? Is that a generation? Do you think it's because you and I used to be able to do the typing or whatever else, or would we be happy if it dropped? Excuse me, if it drafted most of it and then
yeah,
we press
maybe.
send?
maybe. And equally, like from a user perspective, if you got a bunch of like, I don't know, my reply was exactly the same as Matt F's reply, right? From an email they put together because it was AI generated. Is that okay? And does
Or
the
do
user
we
really care about that?
or do we end up with AI talking to AI? And actually, it's just we're actually creating more noise and not getting to the point really quickly.
I remember, I don't know if you've had this, but yeah, I remember having, this is a few years back now, having an amazing conversation with, I was doing all that kind of like, it was some big chief exec's PA, and I was having this conversation around scheduling a meeting with him or her. And, I was being super polite, super kind, and we got there and we built this like real friendship together, me and this PA. And you know how important, like, you know, having that relationship with all the kind of influencers and gatekeepers and all the rest of it. Anyway, and then like, about 3 weeks and I found it was an AI. And it's just mad. But that was years back, right? So that is of course happening. And I'm going through a dispute with a car hire place in Geneva at the moment with I won't say their name, but because there were some scratches on the car, but they were there before. I got video evidence, and it's all, they're sending me stuff which is AI generated. I'm just getting AI to then recreate a letter that I'm then sending
Tell you,
back. It's just like, what is going
I
on here?
I had 30 minutes on the phone yesterday with a leading broadband company that I've been a customer of for 10 years that asked me to send back their kit 'cause I've cancelled my contract. I sent it back in the box and they've confirmed via email that I've sent it back and still charged me 60 quid because they've not received it. I'm like, well, here's your tracking number, here's your confirmation. So you've got it. But I spent 30 minutes on the phone because their process is broken. I'm like,
Yes, yeah,
this
yeah.
is killing me. I'm like, there should be a compensation for this. It's ridiculous.
Man, I'm very impatient when it comes to things like that. I really am. But I'm getting better.
Friction, friction. We
It
don't,
is friction.
not
It
all
is.
friction is bad, but this sort of stuff where they've tried to optimize it and got it wrong for me felt wonky.
So with that, then comes another impatience of mine, which is aligned to that, which is I'm really fed up of the overconfidence in AI's delivery of stuff.
Have
You've
you
got
got?
on one side on one side you've got the, hey Matt, that's a great idea. Well done for being so smart. In whatever you put in, right? Which is that kind of like weird sort of flattery and stuff. But it's when you're asking for, you're asking it to do something, and again, whichever LLMs, right? And it's coming back with an incomplete answer, but with such confidence. And we see it, of course, in the market intelligence space, right? We're doing this. We're using the technology as well as providing the technology to our clients. But it's just, it drives me mad. But then it's the confidence in market, in the knowledge that is generated as a result, which in turn is incomplete. But it's the knock on it. It's the it's becoming more and more expensive. This incorrect knowledge right from the
it-
beginning.
We're feeding the system with insights that aren't correct. And as a result, you've got, I don't want to say fake news, but false information that then just pad out, which make it harder to find that needle in the haystacks. So it's really interesting,
Whether it
right?
starts feeding or it just doesn't have access to the data, right? It's the starting point's wrong. And you're talking about this kind of adoption curve, but it's these decisions are being made, and we're now kind of a couple of years into it, but it was the wrong information going in. It's like shit in, shit out, right? It's like, and we're now in the kind of like the outfeed part for some of this, and it's just like, actually, if you've built a whole load of stuff off of the wrong information, anyway, it's
But like, so I'm looking at it right now for financial advice,
yeah,
genuinely going, sitting here, could I
for you
replace
personally,
financial, well, personally, or just in
yeah,
general, I could,
all right,
if you think about the future of guidance versus advice, really important, obviously, the regulated space, how much detail, and if you look at the insights from Claude or from ChatGPT, they tell you how much of the searches that are being done are for financial advice or for therapy or
yeah, yeah,
whatever else it might be. So when it comes to financial advice, big chunk of the searches that are there now, what could it do and what couldn't it do? So if I'm looking at doing pension advice or ISAs or investments or whatever else, how far could it get number one? And number two, how much do you trust it without speaking to someone that's like me or like you, which goes back to the why are you buying from an advisor or an agent? Like for years, we've been insurance and insurtech, been talking about would brokers be or agents be replaced by technology? I think we're at the space now where they might be augmented, but over time that might be going, hey, that's simple advice or simple insights. You decide, here's all the facts that you can get across comparing fund A, fund B, fund C, and we'll charge you a fraction of that for doing it.
yeah, for sure. No, it's yeah, I'm with you. Like Caroline, there's a couple of things on that. It's like Caroline this week, so my wife was talking about Hargreaves Lansdown and should she have a meeting with them about various things. And it's a Bristol company, so we're super kind of wanting to lean into them. And I'm like, I don't know, I feel like the world of AI may have even caught up to some of the analyst advisors, managers that you can get there. But again, do you trust it? Do you not trust it? So I know that's complete
Well,
opposite of
not
what I
even
just said
it's
as
not,
well around
it's not even
confidence.
trust though. It's comeback. What comeback do you have if you need to then come back to people? You and I seem to have the same cough, like 6,000 miles away. By the way,
I mean, it's driving me mad. Last week was because I'm like so obsessive with my training. I went from a throat to a chest, back to a throat to a this kind of like runny nose. I'm like, enough, I'm done. And they're like just rubbish training week, and it's just like anyway,
so if we
enough
can
on that.
summarize, if we can summarize this podcast really quickly, it's two ill, very old men.
In noisy backgrounds with random headphones that are running out batteries. Yeah, probably
But
is. Not
go
the
back to
not the
this.
strongest of weeks.
Go back to this advice piece. I think this is a really interesting point because it's only a matter of time before they go from, hey, I think you said it earlier, an AI, like when LLMs came out, it's like, what could it do? Now we've got LLMs plus AI agents. They're still doing weird things, i.e., an open claw or what Claude bots, or sorry, Claude's just done with some of their remote control. They're super interesting, but we're just at the very precipice of early use cases. Once we've got those right and we've got enterprise grade security, and I can see them going, at scale. You listen to NVIDIA's keynote from Jensen. He talked on stage about everyone's going to need a Claude bot strategy. And whether
Mate,
it's Claude bot or something else, I think it's a really important point.
Oh, it's so good. He's so smart, right? And again, just some of the stuff that he puts out there. And I think it was your newsletter was talking about his how revealing he is of his own business strategy, like
Yeah.
years ahead, right? And it's so open. But even like I spent half the time like and just like pausing the video, going away to like try and work out what he just said and talked about. It is so good though. But yeah, that's right. But when those tools become a level, when those tools get to a level where they can be practically applied to solutions that give us either as individuals or as businesses value that we're wiping out I don't know teams that were doing this previously and hopefully redeployed and all that kind of good chat, or reducing costs or making money for us. I mean, there will be absolutely no stopping us from using it, right? I am desperate to find those use cases, or rather the technology that fits use cases I have,
But I
which is an
think
important thing.
the thing what we have to stretch though is how do we raise, like, I think I love the phrase, I think I've said it before,
Yeah, yeah.
the floor's being raised, so everyone's now leveling up. So like you could be a 16-year-old off to do work experience and do some analysis on Gemini or Claude or whatever else and get some really cool insights and questions or whatever else really quickly. Or you could be a financial advisor, or you could be a actuary, or whatever else it might be. And you not only raise the floor, but you start to raise the ceiling. If we raise the floor without raising the ceiling, we scrunch it in the middle. If we raise the ceiling and not the floor, it's getting a taller gap. So we've got to make sure that all these capabilities are actually lifting the whole bar up rather than anything else.
But I think they will, right? And again, without taking the analogy too far, if that ceiling for some doesn't raise, then it will naturally raise for others, right? It will. I think the world is going to change pretty quick around that.
And I think the gap between the haves and the have-nots is actually changing quite dramatically. I've said this for a while, like the companies that dig in and go deep in AI early on will have the unfair advantage. I was listening to a couple of podcasts as always on commutes. There was one that's in next week's newsletter about Waymo and how Waymo solved driving. And now that they're trying to do the next piece, which might be, I won't spoil the surprise, but really interesting conversation. And then the other one was the legendary investor Bill Gurley, all about his new book that he's got coming out. But actually, the thing I loved about it was curiosity. And I think you've heard me say creativity, curiosity, storytelling are the soft skills that we need. If you can apply that curiosity to the AI to keep going, well, I don't believe you on that, or help me expand this, or unpack that, or tell me more. I think we've got a really cool opportunity to use the tools to raise that floor and the ceiling. So I actually, after hearing that podcast this morning with Ed Elson and Scott Galloway, I went out and ordered the book straight away, added it to next week's newsletter, ready to rock and roll. So that's my whole new week
Yeah,
sorted
nice.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
nice. Well
cool.
done. So one thing, one use case I have been using AI for, so it comes back from my little booklet here, writing down because I'm really interested. So now we've got a Substack where we're hosting this podcast. I've now got my own personal Substack because that's where we thought we were going to put it and then didn't put it there. We've actually created our own, which is the right thing to do. But I'm like, actually, I've got so much that I want to talk about and that I want to go deeper in. I don't want to put on LinkedIn, but I want to talk about whether it's again whether work related, travel related, family related, fitness related, whatever it be. And I started writing some kind of topic areas, and I've got like more co-work now with different projects where I find so I think in really interesting technology advancement we come to talk about another time is speech over text. Really interested in. So I'm using speech so much more with
Use
AI.
using Siri or Whisperflow or
No, so I'm using whatever's in built in. So I'm using in ChatGPT, I'm speaking directly into it,
yeah,
and then
okay,
with
okay.
Claude, I am using the app. Even though I might be working on my laptop, I'm using the app, and then the two are syncing because I can put it straight into that without having a conversation with
Yeah.
Claude. But yeah, so I was looking at Whisperflow as well. I think that's super cool. I can't remember who using someone I listened to on the podcast was using that and talking about how much they love it. But what I was just saying was like just this morning I was in the gym so I'm staying in the Ace Hotel, so super cool venue. The gym's awesome. It's got like proper old school kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of muscle men pictures and really the signage like get to work and like say no to drugs and whatever it is, right? Some really cool stuff, really inspiring. And I was just thinking about actually there's an article I want to write about that. So I was just putting it into ChatGPT and into Claude, but I got Claude to around the curiosity point. I got Claude to act as a journalist, so ask me questions to help me come out with the narrative that I want to talk about. Really interesting. We had this long old conversation as I was walking the High Line to my meeting this morning. And now what it's got, I haven't looked at it, but it's a great big long Substack post that's being created, which I'm like, let's have a look at that to see whether that's what I want to go with. But it's
I
very
love
much
it.
kind of me, but AI written.
But,
Interesting.
but
Could be a
what I
good
like
case.
about those sorts of things is you can then add your writing style as a skill and then say, write
Yeah,
this in my style. Because my style is quite
yeah, yeah.
jovial, quite fun. I'm terrible at spelling and all that sort of good stuff. So I quite like all those things. But there's loads more that we can do on this. Like, we're just genuinely getting started.
Why don't we, you and I, try and set up some really interesting agents that do useful stuff for us and start to share that as well?
I'm I'm up for that. I'm genuinely sitting here playing away to go, back to your earlier point, like, are we not spending enough time on these things? Sort of strange Andreas Horowitz said a while back, if you're not spending an hour a day training yourself or spending time learning or whatever else, then you're probably missing out or falling behind the curve. And in this Bill Gurley interview, he talked about the things that make people super successful are the folks that have come from behind and are lifelong learners. Like, it's a really cool
Yeah, yeah.
episode, well worth a listen next week. So
And
yeah,
that's what you can do in Bridgewater.
you'll enjoy it. Yeah, you'll really enjoy it.
That's what you can
You'll
do.
really enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. Right, good. I am going to go because my headphones are going to run out.
What are you doing this week? You're in Tech Insights?
I had the best few weeks planned. I'm so excited, right? So in SureTech, New York. So with Tony and David, I just got the it's now in one ear,
I
not two.
I heard it. I heard it.
Brilliant. So in SureTech, New York, and then I am so Caroline and Freddie coming out tomorrow. And I've
Awesome.
got a few meetings. So we're doing like family stuff, but I'm also jumping into meetings in Manhattan, which I can't wait for. Friday, we're disappearing friend's house for the weekend, for Easter weekend, then up to Manhattan for work, and then skiing for a few days because hey, and then down to Hartford for Stacey Brown's InsurTech Hartford, or the American InsurTech Symposium, as it's now
I
called.
mean,
So an
never a dull
amazing
day.
few weeks.
Never
And
a dull
I
day.
love it, right? What fun! And we're launching Sana 2.0 beta as well on April 1st, which is a bit of a weird time to launch anything, right? On April Fool's Day. But anyway, I'm just trying to not connect the two
I
dates.
promised not to make a joke of that online.
Yeah, good. What about you? What's going on?
Crazy, crazy. Like, I'm genuinely on the ground for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then travel starts in earnest mid-April. California, we've got our knowledge event in May, early May, so that's gonna be pretty cool. So,
Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
amazing.
it kicks off in earnest. Just one thing I reminded of, we're talking about AI and talking to stuff. I did one of our internal trainings a few weeks back where I had to video myself back to one of the AIs. It then
Yeah.
analyzed the video and told me what was good, what was bad,
Think
whatever else. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I then did a real-time chat with an AI agent where I was being interviewed by an AI agent that was a media analyst that was interviewing or grilling me like PR. And I tell you
man, that's
what,
really cool.
it was almost lifelike uncomfortable. It was really cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's really
super
good.
excited about some of these things.
We've worked with there's a big US insurer. And it was part of, I think it was their claims team, but we then moved into some of their sales teams where we brought in AI training, AI learning platforms to because it's one of the cost centers, right?
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
if you've got such like high staff turnover in these areas. Yeah, to train these guys and skill them up and say, not just new recruits, but also their people, and then have that kind of capability assessment en route. It's a really interesting again use case for how do we save money in these parts, increase the efficiency and productivity from our guys, or success, and then using AI for that. Super
But
cool.
I think the key here has to be almost back to Aviva's digital transformation agenda of many moons ago, which was digital first, but not everywhere. AI
Yeah,
first, but not everywhere. Back to your point about empathy, how do we make sure that we control and manage empathy? Back to uh, Mustafa Suleyman's comments that he wrote in Nature magazine about how we mustn't let these things take over the empathy piece. So, really, really cool future. As always, buzzing with ideas and what's more. So, hey, enjoy New York. Say hello to my lovely city.
thanks, mate. Yeah, any top tips? Send them my way. Catch you later.
That is.
Cheers, fella. Bye.